Domestic violence, the secret crisis that exists throughout religious communities, is confronted in this bold, timely, sensational, and gripping book. If he doesn't deliver, Marilyn Joyce, an inspirational, motivational speaker, shares her story and gives advice to all who have faced the pain of abuse. This book is a must for anyone who deals with those who face this dilemma. Order your copy today.
Hello, and welcome back to the Purpose Zone. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Marilyn Joyce. I am a registered nurse, a certified domestic violence counselor. I have done radio, television, an author, speaker. I help people create strategies and connect with resources in order to rebuild your life so that you can survive, get a life, and do your destiny. Yes, today I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't be dating right now. Most of the time, the people that I deal with most often are people that are coming out of domestic violence situations. I am a domestic violence survivor, and I found that when my situation was over, it was not a good time to date. And let me share with you why. I have had multiple conversations with hundreds of men down through the years who have dated women who have come out of bad situations, and now that they're going out with them for the first time, I cannot tell you how many times men have shared with me how much they don't want to hear those horror stories. So number one, first main reason why you shouldn't be dating right away after coming out of a traumatic situation or a toxic relationship is because you need time to get healed. You need time to be able to monitor your conversation, because so many times you don't realize how much you're talking about the old relationship. Now, granted, sometimes it's the guy's fault. A little bit, we might as well admit it. First questions out of their mouth when you're sitting down to dinner on that first date is, when was the last time you dated somebody? How long ago was your last intimate relationship? It kind of throws you into talking about stuff that you probably don't need to be talking about right now. You need time to know that you have healed and that you've put some distance between you and that relationship so that the tragic, toxic details of that old relationship are not dominating all of your conversation. I took someone with me when I went to go to a television interview, was very excited about this big event, and the person I took with me just could not stop talking about her ex-husband. The divorce was very fresh, had just happened, and I couldn't even introduce her to someone without her blurting out, oh, my husband's left me, and and this is what he did to me, and oh, that reminds me of something sarcastic he said to me, or something dirty that he did to me on his way out the door. It was just kind of depressing and tragic, because obviously she wasn't healed enough to be able to focus on anything else other than the recent hurt and the recent pain that had happened in her life. Now, I do a whole course about the 10 steps to dealing with your pain issues, but today all I'm wanting to focus on is how you let those pain issues impact a new dating relationship. When I went through my divorce, I didn't date for 3 years, almost 3 years, because I just wanted to make sure that I was cleansed, renewed, refreshed, and healed. And the first thing I did when I separated from my ex was make sure that I walked in a place of forgiveness. It took me a few minutes to get there. I remember being very angry before the marriage ended. I remember being very angry that as a Christian, I wasn't seeing all these miraculous healings and everything straightening out automatically, and I wasn't seeing a miracle like you saw in a Pure Flix Christian religious video movie thing. It wasn't happening the way I had that movie going in my mind. And I was a little angry at God for a little while, but I finally realized that the only thing that I could do that was within my power to do was to live by the word that I knew, that was embedded in my spirit and in my heart. And in my heart, I knew that I had to forgive, so I just did it. I just said, God, I forgive him, and I kept on going. But then I made sure that I stayed out of a place where even though I lived around a military environment, so there were lots of opportunities to go out with many different men from many different parts of the world, I was like, no, I don't think so. I'm going to take this time for me. I'm going to reconstruct my relationship with the Lord, take some private time, take some personal time, and make sure that I'm okay, and that I like me again, and that I like where I am again. So the first thing you do is take care of you, so that your toxic experiences, your past hurt and pain is not what dominates your conversation and not what dominates your life. And if you came out of a situation like I was in, where you were in a religious environment, where your ex was maybe some type of leadership in a religious group of some sort, sometimes there can be some shame associated with that. You know, you kind of feel like you're going to have to explain, you know, where was God in this situation, which is what I talked about in my book, If He Doesn't Deliver. Where's God? Where is He? Those are questions that you don't need to deal with right now. What you need to deal with is you. And you don't need to drag somebody else, and you don't need to have a 2-hour dinner conversation with anybody else with those details. Not right now. It is a turnoff, and you don't want to deceive yourself into thinking that you're ready for something intimate right now. You know, in the movies and all our favorite movies and plays, the woman gets out of this bad relationship with this man who doesn't understand her and doesn't appreciate her value. And then she walks into a relationship just unexpectedly. This guy's been there all the time, and he's just been waiting to show her all of this and affection and everything. And as soon as she recognizes him, then there's the music and the great ending, and we're left with the impression that they walk off into the sunset of a beautiful new beginning. It would be nice if our lives were movies, but our lives are not movies. Our lives are reality. And so if you've got children involved in your relationship and in your healing process, the second thing you've got to do is make sure that they're squared away. Dealing with those kids can be a little difficult. And I'm not saying you've got to be one of those women or men that ends up sacrificing the rest of your life because you've got a child that's never going to accept you moving on with your life. What I'm saying is that you need to take the time to do the research and invest in some strategies and learning how to communicate with your kids and make sure that they're okay, make sure that they're healed, and make sure that they're not a part of any type of drama back and forth, that they're not going to be pawns when it comes to visitation and that type of thing, that there's not going to be the miscommunication that the kids are thinking that you're moved on suddenly and you're trying to bring in someone to replace mom or dad right away. Those are real issues that you're going to have to really deal with. Every child is different, every family situation is different, and every strategy is different according to the needs of that particular child. I think that I stayed single for so long that at one point in time, my kids were trying to match me up with people. I remember one time where they staged a fake arrest in the mall, had me accused of shoplifting in order for me to meet a guy at the menswear clothing store that they had started shopping at. It was very funny when he and I both realized what was going on. That kind of let me know that I had been dating and my kids didn't know about it because I didn't bring anyone into the household or around my kids on a regular basis that I wasn't sure where this relationship was going. If it was new and fresh and I was just getting to know somebody, or it was a coworker and we had started going out a few times and that kind of thing. If there was nothing serious there, there was no reason to get my kids involved. And then if the situation ended suddenly, or I realized within a week or two this wasn't going to go anywhere and he and I were better off as friends, well, my kids didn't know anything except that I had lots of friends, both males and females, and they didn't know whether anybody was someone I was interested in or not. After a while, they got anxious. They wanted to see me with someone, and that was a real sign to me that they were ready for us to add someone else to our lives. So just take your time. Take care of you. Take care of your children. And then the third reason why you're not ready to date right now and that I recommend that you put it off for a little bit longer, is there's a lot of damaged people out there. And it is very easy to go from one toxic relationship and get attracted very early on to someone who has the same initial good qualities that you were attracted to in the last guy, and you don't recognize the undercurrent of some of those bad things that you did not want to continue to be tied to when you had to end the last relationship. One of the things one of my mentors is always saying is that what you focus on is what increases in your life. So if you're still at a place where you're constantly talking about the old toxic relationship, don't be surprised if every guy that you meet after that is someone that has the same toxic qualities as the last guy you got rid of, or the last bad relationship you just got out of. Because what you focus on is what's going to increase in your life. What you continue to talk about, think about, complain about, whine about, talk to everybody about is what's going to keep being attracted to you. You're going to have to change the way you talk, the way you see yourself, the way you respect your memories, respect your process. There's all kinds of things that has to go on inside of you. And it doesn't have to take 3, 4, 5 years for you to get to that place, but there has to be a realization, and there has to be a revolution in the way that you are carrying yourself, talking about yourself, thinking about yourself, your relationship, and your future. One of the things that I recognized that I would not have ever seen, I think, if I had stayed in that toxic relationship for the rest of my life, is I began to recognize talents and gifts within myself that I had suppressed and had not even realized how long I had been suppressing the things that I was into, that I was talented about. Writing, singing. I had stopped singing. I had been a soloist at our church for years. I had stopped singing for a long time. I finally started singing again, started writing again, started traveling and speaking again, started doing some things that ended up taking me into radio and television, things that I know for a fact that I would have never gotten to if I had stayed in that toxic relationship. And the reason I know it is because as time has went on, and I've looked at, periodically I've had an opportunity, because we had kids together, to have to interact with him on behalf of the kids and, you know, our kids' weddings and that kind of stuff. I've had an opportunity to see where he is today and where I am today. And I've been able to look back over my life and over the years and seen that, oh my Lord, I would have never stepped out and done these particular things if I had still been back there in that same place. I want you to take the time not to focus on dating again, not to focus on getting into another relationship right away, not to focus on anything that has to do with intimacy with another human being until you take the time to be intimate with yourself. Take the time to get a revelation of yourself to yourself. And then I think you will be better equipped and well able to know your own value, so that you're better equipped to walk into a healthier relationship, because your focus is not attracting to you all that negative stuff that you no longer want in your life. Thank you again for joining me in the Purpose Zone. I want you to make sure that you survive, get a life, and focus on one day doing your destiny, one day living your dreams and doing the things that you have put off and put on the back burner because some toxic relationship was taking all of your focus and all of your attention away. Please join me again in the zone. Click on that subscribe button and click on the little bell so that you'll be notified the next time I post a video. Thank you for joining me here again today. Go out and respond to the cry of your purpose, and remember to do your destiny.